other, and then we'll just go through the whole procedure, and maybe let's start with some introductions. You know me, I assume, even though I probably wasn't your teacher in most classes, but I'm the guy who was sending you all those emails. So, so you know, and I assume you all know Karen, right? Yeah. And those who are watching probably know Karen too. So let's just move on.
Lisa McLaughlin, and I work in the Bryan School in the management department, and I've helped with registration.
Yeah. So Lisa does all of the registrations, payments, refunds, all of that work, plus helps with all kinds of other administrative work.
So Doug McLaughlin, Lisa's husband. I'm going to be your photographer. I am retired from industry.
And still very professional and sharp. I was trying to save some money back in Miami, so it's almost 2 years ago. And I literally hired, like we even promised some little compensation, 3 students. And they said, we're going to bring big cameras and we'll take like 10,000 pictures. We sure can select 500 good ones. And sure enough, first of all, like one of them was always in your face, very annoying. Like always was trying to line everyone up, and like, we want to do things in here, And the other 2 were just kind of not there. And then in the end, 2 of them I think never sent me the pictures, and one sent it like 2 weeks after the event. And luckily Doug was there, so even though he was not supposed, or at least was not contracted to do it, so somehow by the end of the day he would post like 2-3 dozen excellent photos, and like, so there is a big difference between a professional and a friend with a big camera. So, and then ever since we're trying to have Doug there as a kind of official photographer. So I know some of you obviously, but not all.
So my name's Colin. I'm a junior here. I'm an ISM major. I'm a huge hockey fan. That's about it.
Go Flames, go. Yeah, Calgary. Actually, the year when Hurricanes were playing against Calgary Flames, I think Hurricanes actually won. So,
I'm Alicia. I'm a junior marketing major. Also part of Sparta on campus, which is like the wellness and everything after break. So we do all of the wellness and health events on campus.
I'm Claudia. I'm an international business major.
You've said enough. IB major, so we've heard enough. We now know who our favorite student.
I'm Natalie. I'm a marketing major. I'm a junior, and I'm very excited to go to Calgary.
I am Amy, and I am in the master's program for international business, and I am also a mom of 3 children.
So Amy is in a very special course this time. So unlike you just going to have fun, for her that's actually a course. And so she will have a special role there. So you will have to do a little bit more than everybody else, but for her that's part of the education. So, yeah. And so there are a few more students. I think we're missing 2 or 3, probably more.
Yeah.
So there is another student.
2 people let us know. So this is great that you're recording.
And then we also have some of them have attended those meetings in the past. You've been to one of the previous meetings, right?
Are you talking about like last symposium?
Yeah. So you attended Italy, if I remember.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, and Will Youngblood was also in Italy and coming again. So we have some with experience, and then Karen, Lisa, and Doug have done it like 3 times, 4 times. I can't remember. So yeah. But yeah, in terms of the process, very simple. So for all of you except for Annie, you don't really need to do much until you come to Calgary, but we're trying to do a few things. So one that will happen starting next week, and that's the first time we do it. There will be 2 weeks from the time when we form teams, which we're planning to do literally this weekend, until the time you sort of start working on the challenge. And so we wanted to spend a little time doing, I guess we will call it team building for a lack of better word. So in the past, we would just form the teams and give you the task. And this time I literally, well, first of all, I have done it a lot myself, but this time I literally got a few books for the coaches, for the ambassadors. And then they're going through the activities in those books specifically designed for global virtual teams to help those team members to get to know each other. So we'll see if it's going to help much or not. I think even without that, it worked just fine. But we thought if we give you a little extra time to get to know each other and sort of, again, develop the team spirit, hopefully it will be more fun for everyone. And then, so we already have the client companies. We're now working on the details of the challenges. They will be a little different. So in the normal competition that you've done, it's almost always expansion into new markets, marketing strategy, all that. This time, or usually with these companies, it's a little different. Like in Italy, we had what, 3 or 4 companies?
Yeah, we were talking about that. So we went through all of them. All their challenges are a little different.
Yes, so we had like each one had a little special request, but that's good because we are right there, and so it can be something much more specific.
And even with Hard Rock for Miami, even having the same client, they had different types of challenges, and so you would have a choice between them. So.
Yeah, actually, most of them would have several. I remember Louis Vuitton had a choice. You can either do a marketing strategy for a new store, you can do the inside the store design. So there were some options. And so, so we will have that in a few weeks. So we will form teams on Monday probably. Then you'll have a few weeks to get to know each other, and the ambassadors hopefully will work with you and help you to get to know not only your team members, but a larger team. And again, one of the challenges here is that we have over 150 people. And so obviously, you know, everyone cannot talk to everyone, but hopefully there will be ways to get to know that crowd a little bit better. Then once the challenges are released, you can start working on them. Ideally, we want you to start working from day one, have everything ready within 1 week, and then have all those months, you know, to polish your work. In reality, people have some discussions, you know, kind of get to, you know, do some little research. Most come with some ideas, but most of the work is happening on the side. So, but then again, it should be probably more proactive so that you, because you will not have
enjoy your time instead of being on a computer in a dorm room.
Yep. And then once there, again, day one, we usually have meetings with the companies. You can ask additional questions. You can, you know, do some more research. And then the last day, that's when you do the formal presentations to the clients. Again, we used to have only 1 client. Then we had, I think, 2. Then we had like 4 in Italy. And this time we are probably going to have only 3, possibly 4. And so that means that we will have likely 30 teams, 5 students per team. So that means that there will be 10 presentations per company. And so that's more manageable. So we'll probably have like 2-3 hours for the presentations going concurrently in different rooms. And so this way, maybe even some will be at the offices of the companies. And so this will be a little bit more manageable, because otherwise, if it's even 10 minutes for presentations, 5 question and answer, if we do it all in one room, it literally will take like a full day.
It's hard to get their time
if we are done.
Yeah, and it's not really productive that way either to stand out. Also, you're not creating full reports, right?
Yes. So very first time we did it, in fact, for the first several times, we would, in fact, the very first time we did it, like the very first one, it was the most fun, but it was most exhausting. I had this stupid idea that we will do a 24-hour competition. And so the teams were formed on day 1, and then from that point on, they have 24 hours to write the report, and then have a little sleep, and then do the presentations. It was a lot of fun. They literally didn't sleep for 24 hours. They did write something, but the quality was not quite there, because, you know, how much can you do in one day? And then it was exhausting, so they didn't do anything else. And it was in Fort Lauderdale, right by the ocean. They never even saw the ocean. And so we thought, well, it's a lot of fun, and we still, somehow I still, you know, still in touch with, we're still in touch with that first cohort, and somehow that was such a shock that everybody still remembers. But then we thought, you know what, maybe we should give them a little bit more time. And so, and then the challenge was, or, you know, the task was that you would write the reports and you submit them on the day before, and then from the clients would read it overnight, and then in the morning they would announce the finalists. And I think the finalists would do the presentations, like 2-3 teams, and then the winners would be announced by the end of the day. But the problem with that approach, well, first of all, we didn't know that there was a problem until we had a conference on a cruise ship, and we didn't have printers there. And then somebody said, hey, why do we need to even print them? Let's just do presentations. Everybody, not just the finalists, because, you know, it's a part of experience. And then we thought, hey, what if we ever ask them to print those reports? First of all, you know, reading them takes a lot of time. Second, that means they need to be written and, you know, submitted sometime in advance. And so now we just go with presentations. And so you are allowed to bring up to 1-page handout that you give right before the presentation. But this way, the clients don't have to read a stack of reports. They just watch you. Your presentation skills sort of are taken into account. Everybody gets to present. Most companies take it extremely seriously when selecting the winners. Like, I've been at several sessions when they would be deliberating. Like, you know, there would be even arguments and fights. No, I think team 2 needs to win. No, team 27, I think it was better. You know, did you look at that picture? Did you look at it? So it was really, really nice. And then, yeah, they select the winners. And so that's how it goes.
It's great because everybody gets to present now.
Right. Yeah. Everybody gets to present.
That's really a great part of the
And,
presentation.
yeah. My only concern with that approach is that always, just like in politics, I guess, presentation often trumps content. Like I still remember some teams that won. There was this girl from Elon University like years ago. The way she was like everybody presents like this, they just come out to the board and they say, so we at team number 16, here's Colin from the United States, and here's from Ghana, and yeah, and so Colin will talk about marketing. And then Colin's like, hey, and he talks, and then somebody else. That team was presented like I don't know what they said. I was not really listening, but the style was like da 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 da. Like everybody was like, they won. I have no idea what they said, but the presentation was so engaging. So it seems like being more unusual and a little bit more expressive. And there was once a team that was wrapping their presentation, also like one of the early years. So yeah. Anyway. But yeah,
the stories. Yeah.
And then also the handouts seem to make a lot of difference. Some of them, most of them look something like this. And in fact, I actually did have copies. Do you have copies from the last year? So I'll show you. Like most of them look like this, and nobody reads them. Like people look at it, oh, it's too much reading. But some of
It
them,
looks like an infographic.
yeah,
It
some
really
of them
helps.
do like infographics. Like something that can be scanned in literally less than a
Yeah, we
minute.
want to keep them this year.
Well, I have copies from the last year, so I have kind of good examples, bad examples. So, but the good thing about that is that it's also part of the experience. I mean, in most cases, when you have a chance to pitch your business idea or to yourself, nobody will give you half an hour to explain how great you are. You either present it quickly and effectively or not. So, but yeah, those are the big components, right? So, and then in terms of the little details, we can talk about that.
Like flights and
Yeah. Well, teams, so we will probably go with 5 per team just because we have a nice, we're shooting for 150 total. Maybe I should give some numbers. So the way it works is we try to invite the best of the best, but even those who participated years ago. Somebody cannot attend right away after the graduation. Somebody's still in school. Somebody didn't have the money. Plus, we kind of like the more mature crowds. So some people, even though it's been years since they participated, now they made like a middle manager, and now I really want to participate. And so we invited, normally we go for like top 10, top 15% based on like average score. And it's almost like, don't ask me for the formula. The reason I don't want to reveal it is because, every time I talk to someone, people have different opinions. Like, should it be peer evaluations? Should it be the quality of the report? What if somebody had a bad team? So peer evaluations don't tell you everything. What if it was a bad team, but a great student? So timeliness, readiness test results, recommendations from the professors. How do you weight it? So it's almost impossible. But once you rank people on about, I think we use like 15 indicators, and I use color coding for each column, you sort of see some people like all in green and some people all in red. So most people sort of emerge as, it seems like it's a strong group. And then so we invite those people to apply. And obviously, not everyone who is invited applies because schedule conflicts, no money, or maybe not interested, who knows. So this time, I can't remember how many we invited. So it was a couple thousand or something like that out of like 60,000 people who have ever participated, or 55. And of those, we have, as of now, we have about 800 applications. But before the original deadline, we got about 500 or so. And then we know that from that group, again, not everyone who was invited will proceed. So we did look at the performance indicators, selected some of the best from those people. But usually we know that like about 1 in 3 out of those who applied, when you say them, you're selected, you can go, you can proceed. So only about 1 in 3 actually goes ahead and registers. So we had roughly the same statistics this time. So it seems like most of those who were pre-selected, as long as they applied, we disqualified a bunch because something was missing. The recommendations letters were not there. There were some people who put in their statement, like 2 sentences. And even though everything seems fine, but it just seems like lack of care. But those who did a good enough job got to be invited. And again, not everybody was able to attend, but most were. The problem became a little later when we kept getting the applications, and usually they would come with the words, I was not using my university address anymore, so I accidentally saw it, or I was traveling, or I had finals, can I please come? So now we have about 155 students accepted or something like that. Then every day we get one or two who drop out because they didn't get a Canadian visa. There was one yesterday, but then there would be like 5 more who come and say, please, I was late, but I didn't know, or my school finally decided to pay for me, so okay. So we have a fairly lengthy wait list. We have some who will probably drop out, but at this time we're trying to keep it, so that in the end we have about 150. So if we end up with 2 more or 2 less, I think that's fine. We may be able to get a little bit more just because some of the professors, we reserved some rooms for the professors, and it seems like we may have a little bit fewer than we reserved the rooms, so we may move some students in that cohort. But otherwise, the big...
It's interesting. What it comes down to is busing.
Yeah. So unfortunately, rooms are not a problem. The buses have 50 seats usually. And so if
they're
you have...
really expensive to get an extra bus. So
the buses will be like 37,000 last time just for the buses.
I had no idea.
Yes. So if you have 2 extra students, then what do you do? Like get an Uber or...
There'll be 200 people there.
Yeah. So we'll see, but that we need to increase it in like 50 people increments, and we don't want to go. So now with ambassadors and professors, we'll have 200 people. So we don't want to go to 250 because it's too many.
And then you don't really have, I don't think, a close enough experience. It's amazing how many people you do get to know, though, right? And really week.
Yeah, but that's, so about half of them.
And then rooming, you won't room with the people that are on your team, so you get to know other people.
Yeah, they actually extremely particular this time and trying to develop an algorithm so that, it's like as far from a different country, different language, so that you have that experience. So I'm fine with that one. With the team sizes, again, normally we try to have 6 to 7 in virtual teams in case somebody drops out, so there are enough people left. Here we'll go with 5 because pretty much everybody will show up. As always, we'll have 2 or 3 people who will get sick last minute or something else, but most people pretty much will be there. So some teams will have only 4. I suppose it's fine. And again, we may have some last minute additions, something like, for example, we have 3 students from Pakistan now who applied for the visa, but for Pakistan, the wait time is 2 months and they will not know literally like 5 days before the event. And so we told them, well, I don't know, let's try. And so there is a good chance we may have to add them last minute. But then again, we may have some last minute dropouts. Like one year we had Hurricane Sandy, as you remember, and they were like everybody who was flying through New York basically never showed up. So they were stuck there for 2 days, and then it didn't make sense too. So, but there will be 5 people per team, maximizing diversity, trying to keep the age more or less the same. Experience shows that even though MBA students are not always better, except when they are masters of science in international business, but once you mix them, they start complaining about each other. Why do you have to be a babysitter to those kids? And she's so bossy. Just MBAs. Because she's an MBA or she's an MBA. So we try to keep them separate. And in Italy, we had one team of kids just to see how it works. It worked well for them. So we'll probably have a couple teams of kids, although they are like in their teens, so there will not be much like different from you. And those are like, those are not your usual kids. I mean, most of them are like homeschooled and like will be graduating high school at age 14. Like if you've seen Big Bang Theory, that's the kinds of kids, and usually they're homeschooled because they're waste of like they don't want to waste time on school. So most of them will do like they'll make some of you look bad. So but they will be younger. So and they will obviously be in teams by themselves in their own age group. So but that's the teams. I don't know anything else about the teams yet.
About the teams. No, I would just take advantage of the opportunity, just try to keep a little flexible. I'm kind of type A, you know me, so I would get like the most out of the experience. But the thing too is that, all right, you also want to enjoy your time together. When I went to Miami for the first time, that was Louis Vuitton, and you put us as coaches to teams. And so I got this really interesting view of, it was 2 guys from Florida, someone from France, someone from Italy, and another country. And I remember counseling those 3 females, because they were saying the 2 guys from Florida, they're going out partying all the time. They're not showing up for our meetings. Like, we flew across the world for this. And I was like, guys, you can go salsa dancing anytime you want to. I mean, you're a car ride away. So it's interesting to see, you might have like still a couple of bad apples, like after all the great people that are pulled together. So I just say like, take it all in stride, just try to make the most out of the experience. So take it like so seriously, because just being able to show up, you've already won, the whole thing. So
yeah, in Miami we had a problem. We were literally so close to the ocean that you could hear the waves, but we were so afraid that people, young people, the host is a casino, like literally a casino, We had also American Airlines, DHL, but the main host was literally like it's all about celebration. And then young people getting together, adrenaline, hormones, excitement, image. So we tagged the program like literally every single minute, like from 6 a.m. till midnight, there was something going on. And so it didn't work. It didn't work very well. I remember there was this girl from Italy who at some point said, like, "No, I've had enough. I'm going to the beach. Like, you cannot stop me. Like, I didn't come to Miami just to be."
Hey there, Susan. Lisa, I'm gonna try to go downstairs. I get locked out all back there.
Okay, I'll listen for you.
Technical difficulty with the door earlier, so.
Okay,
I just don't
all
wanna
right,
get
I'll
stuck in the
listen for
stairwell
you.
all night.
All right.
All
Yeah.
So the students complained that it's summer, and while they came here for sort of work, I mean, they want to have at least some fun. And so ever since, what we do is we have, I think, 1 or 2 evenings when you are completely on your own. So in a sense, that will cost you extra $10 or whatever you'll pay for food. But at the same time, you don't have to be, with the same group of people all the time. So there will be some flexibility in that. And then we do give a little bit more extra free time. So again, you can do whatever you want during that time. So this time we will not have the ocean, but we'll have the mountains. We will actually have a whole day when we all go to the mountains. Yes, so there will be some free time from that perspective. So it's okay to take a break sometime. And I guess it's it's a competition, but it's not like the winner gets $1 million and a guaranteed job, at Google. So yeah, it's fine, but you all will get something in the end, some certificates. There will be winners, but there will be no losers. So I guess it's no need to fight too much about it. Somebody will decide to be a little bit more relaxed about it. So yeah, so we will have several webinars with the companies before we meet with them. So there will be like company introductions, and obviously you are welcome to attend all of them. Even if it's not your company, you're still welcome to attend. And so I guess, even if it's not your company, it's still interesting to see, the business models. Each time the companies represent different industries. So I always find it, like in Italy, one of the problems we had, and so we're trying to change it this time. We had 4 companies that we visited. There was one that everybody visited, and there were 4 that everybody, like you only visit your company. And so since I was not on the team, I had to spend a lot of time deciding which one I go to, but eventually I went to the company that makes shoes, because I had to chaperone the kids, and one was making wine, so that was not appropriate. One was making coffee, again, not appropriate. And so eventually we went to the shoes. And so during the visit, I was so excited. Like I'll come home and I will tell them, you made it, that was the best company. And I come home and they say, oh, we got drunk at this winery. And then, we had to got to drink like 5 different types or 10 different types of coffee. And then opera was so cool. We went to opera a day before. So we met all the singers. And then we met the director and we went behind the scenes. I'm like, man, like that FOMO, fear of missing out. So this time everybody visits every company, but that also means that we will have literally one day when we do nothing else, just go from one company to another. So we'll see how that works. So it will be a little bit.
So I think it would be good to listen to all the webinars, because that way you'll get the preview. Yeah.
And then again, many companies do say that, if you do a good job, if you impress them enough, then they offer you a job. So again, Calgary is a major industrial hub for oil, gas, but also for other industries. I don't know. I mean, so you don't want to miss the opportunity to get your face known and change some business cards.
After Miami, UPS hired.
Yeah, UPS hired several people.
Made a video and.
So, Hard Rock hired a few. There was one I remember from Ukraine. And then Italians talked to several people. So again, if you're going there to get a job, no promises, obviously, and that's not the purpose. But sometimes it happens, and it can be a nice side effect. So that's basically teams and companies. Then on the side, so there will be a huge. They claim that it's the biggest outdoor festival ever. If you don't know, I did my PhD in Canada, stayed there for about 7 years total. Both of my kids were born there, so for me it's very special. That's that's the place where I had the best years of my life, at least until I came here. So, but so that festival, it's a big, huge rodeo / industry expo. So there will be companies promoting their products. There will be literally like bull rides and horse, what you call the thing when they rope those. Yeah, like every possible cowboy thing, competition going on all the time. But then somehow it's not really like a rodeo. So you'll have like real rodeo there, but somehow it's mixed with companies presenting their businesses, cities presenting their stuff. So it's like some weird mix of
Like an expo and a big state fair. And
yeah, it's like
we've been looking it up a lot.
yeah, it's like a World Expo with Calgary into it. So there will be like street artists, there will be alcohol, all kinds of stuff, and it goes right a week, like back to back a week before. So it may be a good idea to arrive a few days early and see that. So
yeah, we get tickets for rodeo, for a night show.
Yep. And we're gonna add some more, right?
Yeah, mutton busting, you know, when in Rome, right? Hard takes it, but I know that I need to build it up. So I've told some of you that my husband will fly with me. So John's coming, but then as soon as my work day starts, he's going home. Otherwise, the line is going to put him to work. And so, so we know that from all of our past experiences to really just to come into an area. We've done business, you know, many places in the world, and you want to build in like a day or two around it. You just don't want to go from Marriott to Marriott around the world. I mean, it's all the same experience. So if you want to do some sightseeing, you just want to plan now because the rooms will be expensive. Calgary Stampede that puts all the, you know, it's just going to take the rooms away and then it's going to make everything more expensive. So if you haven't planned it yet, think about if you want to do a day or two before or after.
A few tips, I'm not sure if I should say that on camera. One, in the past, people have been very successful basically couch surfing. We have about a dozen local ambassadors. And so in most cases, I know in all the past experiences, they would have like 5 people sleeping in their, you know, sleeping bags on the floor. So you'll get to know them and become friends probably before the visit. So if you want to come early, that might be an option. Another thing, I'm not sure if you want to do it, but in Calgary, the city itself, you know, it's a major city and everything, but it's kind of similar. It's basically northern Houston. If you've ever been to Houston, same thing. You know, oil and business. Half of the population are actually from Houston because of that. You know, oil and gas. You know, executives flying back and forth, wearing cowboy hats and all that stuff. But as the city, you know, like there is really nothing super. It's just a simple, beautiful city that usually ranks in top 3 worldwide for comfort of living. What's really cool about Calgary is the mountains. They have like literally, you know, some of the world's best mountains. I don't even, like maybe Denver can rival Calgary and maybe some places in Tibet. Like we are talking about like every time you see like snow covered, you know, maybe Seattle, I guess they also have like really nice scenery. And so that's where, you know, really cool stuff happens. Yeah, Banff. So what I'm planning to do, and I'm now still trying to decide if I'm bringing my family or not. So we will probably fly into Portland or Seattle or Vancouver. The ticket's actually even a little bit cheaper than flying to Calgary, so I'm not sure why. Then rent a car and drive to Calgary. So the rental will be about $200 for the car, plus if you want to stay a little bit, because it's like a 10-hour drive if you go from Seattle, 8 from Vancouver, and like 12 from Portland. So, but you will be going through arguably the most scenic route on the planet. I mean, again, like you cannot say that this is the most scenic, but you know, no matter how you count, it's going to be like in top 5. And there will be enough people who will say, no, for me, that's number 1. We are going like really through some most beautiful mountains. It's the summertime, so you'll still see snow on the top. If you go high enough, you will literally can ski, and then it will be relatively comfortable, like plus, you know, in the 70s in the you know, on the road. And so it may not be a bad idea to do it that way. Again, it's a little bit more expensive to rent a car because you go multi-city. So it will be like, you know, like $40 per day for the car and then like another $100.
It's kind of the area that I try to figure it out without a car. And it seems like you do need a rental.
No, you need a car. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, to stretch it out, so we're going to do an Airbnb. So we fly in, Airbnb, and they're ready to camp in Banff for 2 days. Yeah. And they do this cool thing where they drop in your tent, your sleeping pads. All you have to do is bring your bag and a couple of other things. They even give you a little stove and a propane. So if you guys camp, let us know. But we're going to do that in Banff. And then we're going to go back to an Airbnb and do laundry. But, you know, whatever you want to make out of it, there's a lot of really nice things to do right outside. The dinosaur park.
Yeah, dinosaur is a different, so another thing that's, again, for sightseeing, if you want to come a day early, it's a very dry climate there, like very, very dry, and something in the soil there that preserves fossils. And so that's the #1 site in the world for dinosaur bones dug up. So apparently #2 is somewhere in China, and that's #1. And they literally have it, you know, excavations are going on right.
And you can do them, like we signed up.
Yeah, you can, like literally. So it looks like surreal. Like
so I'm going to be really dirty by the time I get to go down.
in that part, it looks almost like Mars, I guess. You know, it looks like strange yellow hoodoos, they call them, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And so that's an interesting thing too. So, but yeah, the mountains are, as I said, like when you see pictures of those motivational posters, with something like some meaningless but smart sounding,
Go team.
yeah. So usually the mountains in the back would be like Lake Louise, for example, or like we're talking about some very, very serious.
And hopefully one of our tour days will go out somewhere in that area.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's what you can. So if you arrive early, and then on the day when everybody will be arriving, again, usually what people do is, since there will be 200 people more or less arriving on the same day, usually we agree on a meeting spot in the airport. There is only one airport there, and so like once you have like 4 or 5 people, you just share an Uber. So the Uber will be about $15 from the airport to the campus. I think it's like $4 or $3 the public transport. The buses. I think you have to take a bus and then the train, like half an hour total. Uber will be about 12 minutes, maybe 11 minutes from the airport, and shouldn't be more than like $3 per person if you share. And so people just get together, start getting to know each other. Once the crowd is large enough, they take a taxi or just go on the bus altogether. So that's another, and there will be people arriving like a couple dozen every hour. So you can definitely.
The ambassadors will probably switch out and do some things like that too for meeting points.
And I think we will have one shuttle specifically for us for the whole week. So I'm not sure if they decide to go back and forth. It just seems like it will not be enough.
Everyone seems to be coming in the daytime, so that seems like that'll be easy. If we could get to Masharata, right? Anything's possible.
That's right.
Going into this little tiny medieval town, busing everybody in. So. Calgary is easy.
Yeah, Calgary, and because it's a cold city, they have excellent public transportation. In those cold cities, they must have it because for half a year you literally can't, like if you don't have a car. So they have like old buildings in the downtown, like literally every single skyscraper in the downtown is connected by the skywalk. Like you literally don't have to go outside if you don't want to, if you work in downtown. So, and then they
Has anybody split Alcina City like that? Yeah, okay. Like Duluth is like that. Winnipeg is like that. First time I saw it I was in my 20s and I traveled for business, and wow, this is amazing. And I spent like hours just walking through all these connected buildings. So that's an excursion. It's a free excursion right there.
Same thing on campus, by the way. You see every single building.
Do the underground tunnels.
They have second floor skywalk, they call it for some reason, or catwalk, and like it's completely connected. And so in winter, you don't have to, like if you're going to classes, you don't have to leave the indoors if you don't need to. So also what's interesting, the Olympic Games took place in Calgary in 1988, and so we will attend probably both facilities. So they had something in what they call Sunshine Village, something they call Kananaskis. Like some was alpine skiing, some was cross country, but then pretty much all of the like ice rink and stuff, it was all on campus. And so like literally it's now part of the campus. So you will see the Olympic, flame, like literally that's what, now they make them more grandiose. At that time it was a little bit more kind of, modest, but it's right in the middle of the campus. So they donated all those facilities to the campus. Apparently at that time it was like way outside, but now it's almost in the middle because the campus is gone. So again, and by the way, you go to that Olympic rink, there are always people from like national, athletes from all around the world training, because apparently it's one of the best. And so they literally come from all around the world, and like one day you can see people from just about anywhere, Japan and Ghana and Ukraine. So they just come there to train. So, but yeah, so you arrive, then we have an opening ceremony, and then next day we have the company visits. Then I think we have one day of workshops, and then another day we go to the mountains. And in the mountains, we will have some sightseeing, like Lake Louise and Sunshine Village, but we also will visit a few companies that specialize in kind of tourist business. And then I think we have another day of workshops and stuff, and then another day of presentations. And some of the kind of usual components of the program that people always love. For example, the elevator pitch competition always gets perfect evaluations. We literally put executives in elevators, like occupy a couple of buildings, and just like half a day they go up and down, and you walk in the elevator. There are usually 2 tracks. One, you can sell your idea and get investment for it, and then 2, you can sell yourself and get a job. So, and it sort of starts with, aren't you the CEO of Suncor? Yes, I am. Oh, always wanted to talk to you. And then you pitch your idea. And so you literally have like 6 or 7 floors, like 45 seconds to 1 minute. And we do it once, then they provide feedback, and then you do it again, they provide feedback. And I think one year we even did it 3 times. So for you, it's also a rehearsal. So, people always say, oh, I'm so glad I did it. Now, if I have to do it for real, Like first time I was completely lost. Like was and that's it.
Yeah, I thought I knew what I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
yeah. So now I kind of know what to say. And the truth is, that's how in many cases the only way you can talk to a person of that caliber. They don't have time for you, so just happen to be in the
Yeah,
elevator.
so I encourage you to show up for all that stuff, because even on the cruise ship,
Yeah.
JT did it, was one of my students, won an award, and they got so much time with these CEOs because everybody kind of slept in. It was really early.
We did it like 7 a.m. or something. Yeah, JT, by the way, I remember that student, he came back, he told his employer what he did, and the employer said, I love this whole thing so much that I'll pay for you, like your tuition for the remaining, I think he had like 2 years left. And then one of his team members got a job at JT's company. So she was from Thailand, I believe. And he said, well, who wrote that report? And he said, well, here's my team. Can I talk to them? And then, would you guys want to work for me? And they wanted them. And he said, sure. All right. So yeah, why don't you come here? And so she works for that company now. So as I said, that's something we didn't plan. And here we ended up hiring someone from, in Calgary, in Greensboro. But, you never know how those things develop. Yeah. And then obviously, some people fall in love and then, they started crying when we go home. And we had a few people who visited, for example, people here. So there were probably more, but I just know, well, we shouldn't go into the names.
No.
But so there was a guy here who somehow managed to date 2 girls like us or something. At least 2 of them visited him here. So, and then they were, flying back and forth. So sometimes it leads to sort of, deeper relationships.
He's looking for a
Yeah.
He's looking for a baby. Yeah.
Yeah. To my knowledge, we still don't have babies named X-Culture, but eventually, I guess we may have some. So, but what I mean is that some people develop very close relationships, romantic or just simply, friendship. I know that some also talk about maybe starting a business together and things like that. So in many cases, the official program is great and useful and educational, but it's only a component of what you actually get. So as I said, that interpersonal experience and seeing another country and culture is big. For you, I guess Calgary will not be that different, but I was very surprised that, for example, in Italy, surprisingly, we get complaints like, oh, the food is basically too Italian for me. So can I get something,
Pasta every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
And or they don't have an AC. Well, I didn't know they have AC either, but I mean that's the whole point. I mean,
There's more walking than maybe
Yeah.
Americans. There's some other countries we're used to.
yeah, but I mean that no AC experience. I mean, yes,
That was very difficult.
at
for me.
times-
We had a very authentic
yeah,
experience.
at times I felt, but looking back, I mean, now I know. It turns out they don't use AC other than hotels for internationals. So I don't know. I'm not sure what will surprise you. Like for you, probably Calgary will not be that different. Other than that they say sorry every like if it's a sentence without a sorry, and then when you cross the street, what drove me crazy, literally like you are 100 feet away from the road and everybody stops and waits for you. And I always felt bad and felt obliged, compelled to run because, and for some reason they just stop and wait. And I don't know, I mean, they're extremely polite. So to the point where it's a little, maybe it's changed now. It's 10 years since I left Calgary, but but for some other students, it will be different. And if they will complain that they eat too much beef, which they do, or I don't know what else they will find surprising, just wrong. I mean, the whole point is to experience those differences. I mean, when I
Lincoln's
see
even said like, hey, it could snow. Not that it's in the forecast, but
has snowed every
Snowed.
single day of the year in one of the years, on record. So it literally can snow. Yeah, it literally can snow any day. So, and if you go to the mountains, as I said, you will see snow even from the campus. And, So yeah, that's briefly about the program. I don't know, maybe a quick note on the financial side. A couple of times people ask in case you have those burning questions. So some people say that, oh, why is it so expensive? And so one thing I didn't realize when we started organizing that, I thought that, in fact, in Italy, I even got a phone call once from a professor, and she says, I believe those Italians are scamming. I looked at the numbers and no, they're charging way too much. And so first I had to explain that Italians have nothing to do with the money comes to us and we pay the bills from here. Second, so she was explaining why, and she said, I looked, you can get like an Airbnb or a hotel for like $60, $70 per night. And I looked, you can eat like for $7 a meal. And so I added that up for 5 days or 6 days. So it should be more like, I don't know, $90 a day, and they charge like $120. So it turns out that those are very minor expenses. The housing, in fact, is a small portion of everything we pay. So on campus, it's not that expensive. The biggest expenses that I never thought would be expenses, for example, buses. Like we'll literally spend about 37,000, I believe, last year, and this time it will be even more because everybody goes to every company. So that's like a big portion. Second, just the processing fee. So every time people pay, the credit card company takes 3%. It's usually like from 2 to 4% depending on the country and type of credit card you use. But in the end, we end up spending like only 6,000 on those fees. Like, like everybody pays, we just lose right there. Then insurance will be a few thousand, like in case something goes wrong, like you have your own medical insurance, but we also get some insurance to make sure that, like if somebody breaks something or, gets hurt or, who knows what can go.
And I think Heidi will send information because everyone wants to do like Geo Blue in here, $3 a day or something like that.
Yeah.
But that will be an added protection.
Yeah. Another thing people don't realize is that the administrative side of it is extremely complicated. And in the past, so nobody ever gets paid for, like for what we do. We did have about $10,000 left in the end after the event last time. And so we spend the money basically to hire some help to prepare the next event. So, but overall, the way we calculate the cost is we add all the expenses divided by the number of people, but then add a little bit extra because in Miami, so it was cheaper and we ended up basically being, over budget. Luckily, we got a paycheck, like a check from, I think UPS paid whatever they paid, and then Hard Rock paid for a couple of dinners, and each dinner is like 12,000 or something like that for a group of this size. So, and they, saved us. Otherwise, I guess I would have, to come up with the rest. So, so we add a little bit extra. But then
seed money for the next one because then all these deposits happen way before the event.
But the important thing is, so we will have about 22, I believe, ambassadors who already started working, and then on the side they will have to arrive at least a week early to do all the preparations. Then we have about 2,000 professors who are heavily involved, like some of them with Karen or Leilani. We are talking about hundreds of hours, spent on preparation. There will be some who will spend a little bit less time before, but will spend a lot of time, running sessions and stuff at the event. We have a photographer, and those of you who don't know, even the photographer actually had to pay for the registration. So we just sort of, kind of give a little discount. And so, when we say that we pay the photographer, in reality, it's like accounting wise, it's not. So, but in any case, so Leilani at least is trying to cover some of the expenses for some of the people who are involved in the event. And so while nobody will be paid per se, so they, for example, waive the registration fee for the organizing committee and ambassadors. We hope that maybe in the end we'll even be able to give them some sort of a gift certificate so that they can have like a dinner with a boyfriend, girlfriend, because effectively they will be working for like 3 months before and then 2 weeks on the side nonstop. And so we are lucky to have a bunch of professors who are willing to do it essentially for free. And then the school even pays for their flights. So, if we can, waive the fee, registration fee sort of works for everyone. But again, that's, like market value of that would have been, I don't even know, like probably hundreds of thousands if you wanted to pay them. And so with the expenses we have, nobody's going to get rich on this. I have a dream to have at least a little bit left so we can maybe pay Leilani something. Like, if anyone, she deserves to actually get some money as a payment, not just, waive her registration fee. But yeah, that's how it works. And just want to make sure that it's kind of clear that it's not a profitable enterprise. And so it's not something that, So yep, that's on that side, just to clear. So in case somebody will run, calculations and will accuse us that it could have been done cheaper, probably. Yeah. So yep, but that's how the whole thing works. And in the end, you will get all of you will get certificates that look something like this, and then we'll just have nice folders for them or frames, and then there will be additionally certificates for the winners. And then everybody will also get a recommendation letter. So people ask for so many of them that I just figured it's cheaper to just do like print one for everyone on the spot, even though the text is a little different for everyone. So we add a little personal comment there, but it's just more efficient to do that way than write 151 by one afterwards. So yeah, there will be probably some memorabilia and little things like that.
Mm-hmm. What kind of questions do you have?
So if we're arriving like a couple days early, like if we're arriving on the 12th and it starts the 14th, are we able to go to campus and get a dorm like early?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Read through your literature because there's a link and you have to request the room. Okay. So follow that because I'm not really sure. I didn't set it up or anything, but I know from conversations.
Okay.
We did it today.
Oh, good. So it's fresh on your mind.
I mean, this is the same as for a student as it would be, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
I think so.
Yeah, it's about $85 a day.
That's Canadian 85.
Okay.
yeah, which is about 72 cents as of today.
Let's go on next.
Okay. So, it's the place you would stay is the dorm that we're going to be staying in, and this is out on Facebook. It's called Travel Document.
I think Leighton's going to put it out there more prominently because.
But it's a document that you can pull, and you just tell them when you want to come, and then
that's a dorm room for the two of you. And so then if you could dorm with somebody else, then you split the cost in half.
Okay.
Which is an awesome way to travel with friends.
Okay.
Nothing feels better than like a $30.
but it didn't really say in here how much it was, but that's what it was when we actually told them when we were going, because we're going on Tuesday.
Okay.
But also sharing rooms is a good way to get, to meet people. And while it may be slightly less comfortable during the
It's
event,
awesome.
but
Yeah.
it's something that, you develop those
Like
friendships.
Anne-Marie on the cruise ship, the professors were matched up. And so we became like really great friends after that experience together. So
Another thing on Instagram, I'm following Tourism Calgary. And so every day you get like a picture or something. That's fun.
try to get like immersed in the area.
Get to see.
Yep. Any other questions?
As far as like the registration day, is it just like, is there something specifically going on that day, or just whenever time you get in to check in?
Well, the day itself, well, there will be a few tables where you sort of check in, and they will give you your bag with some of the information, and they will, walk you to your room and things like that. But also people just hang out right around that registration area, and that's where you sort of get to, meet people. So, yeah, one of the problems I'm looking at the tickets, if you didn't buy the airfare, if you're trying to arrive on that date, it seems like the cheapest tickets have two connections. And even if you leave very early, I think one arrives like at 5 p.m. or something like that. So you barely have the time, 5:15 or 5:30. You barely have the time to run from the airport to the campus, right, for the ceremony. It's doable. It's fine. So there is a one-stop flight through Chicago, so that one is more convenient. Arrives at 1 o'clock p.m. So, but yeah. So if you miss that first day, not a huge deal. Try to be there for the opening ceremony, because I guess that's where all the orientation and meet and greet will happen. But business-wise, there will be nothing super important,
That day.
Yeah, I guess, but those first impressions are very
I would
important.
try to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem there is that, people will form their sort of cliques or, groups. And
Yeah,
so
like Natalie and I were talking to, like, I like being slowly boiled into something, instead of just walking in cold. And so when you're the first, like, 20, 30, 40 people, it just feels easy. And you're eating and you're just chilling out, as opposed to like, oh, my flight was supposed to come in at 8, but now I've got to get, it just feels so rushed. And then you walk in and the celebration's happening. So there's nothing wrong with it, but if you can kind of get yourself a little bit of that buffer, it's helpful. And like, I know for me, with my flight that I picked, the day that we leave, I really leave the next morning at 1 a.m. But I thought, no, I like to talk with Alani as much as possible at that event. And I get to see her only a couple times a year. So I'm fine with staying up and taking a 2 o'clock in the morning flight out of Calgary instead of leaving it 4 or whatever. It was like, my choices were like 11 in the morning or the other option. I was like, I could sleep anytime. But, so you might have to make some choices like that with your travel, just depending on like your, you could do anything really expensive, but then if you want to get creative with flights, you might have long layovers. Who does have their flights already set up? All right, so. And you're going from Canada to Canada, that should be kind of easy. So that's good. So you're set. That's really a big.
Yeah, still haven't bought my tickets, still trying to decide.
You want to go camping?
Well, the question is, if I'm going alone, take only one of my kids or take the whole family.
Yeah.
And then if I'm flying to Portland, Vancouver, Calgary, Seattle, and before or after. So it's like a lot of decisions.
That's odd. Then do a group picture.
Yeah. So any other questions? Amy and Michael, so you have a slightly different schedule. So once we're done with the finals and everything, so I'll send you some schedule. So it's more fun than everybody. It's a little bit more extra work. So, but yes, so Amy and Michael will be, so we have ambassadors, whereas we'll also have sort of almost like coaches. So their job will not be the housekeeping, but more helping teams with some things like presentation rehearsals and conflict resolution if any happen, and some will probably happen. So things like that. So
Are you done the coaching program? I'm doing it.
doing it
Next semester.
yeah. So and basically now it will be part of the course. Yeah. So there will be more kind of helping the teams, whereas ambassadors are organizing the event, and some of them will be helping teams as well. Many of them
like
have
content and
content versus household housekeeping. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I will share with you closer to the event. So there have been some traditions developed, around taking pictures X-Culture style. So I don't know who came up with the idea to do this X. We found a couple pictures that appeared almost at the same time, one from like Czech Republic and one from somewhere in Africa. So at first I didn't really understand, like, well, why are they all standing like this, like that. But then, oh, that's the X. And so ever since people came up with very creative ways to form X's, in fact, on way out, I can show you, we have a picture from every single event, usually in the X formation. So the best one was the last one in Nashville. So I'll show you. So actually, the best one was in Macerata, but it was bathing suits, and so in a swimming pool.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, but that one I felt it would be too much if I put it on my walls.
Yeah.
So, by the way, yes, we always give you the link at the end where you can share your photos, and so apparently some students share everything, and some of that stuff it's a little too much. I'm happy that they had fun, but plus in Calgary where pot is legal now, so I'm not sure if I want to see
Is it really? Is it really?
Yeah. Well, they take it very responsibly, apparently. I don't know. I mean, in all my years,
I know.
in all my years there, I've never seen anyone do it. So. But yes, so even though it's legal, that's not something we want to see or
So one of our challenge clients.
get those cookies, after. So, but what I mean is that it's a very open culture, and so I hope it will not sway you from, your focus will be on the business side of the event. So
I think everybody did a really good job managing being in Italy and like the wine and all of that, and so I think it's just interesting, all the different places that you go. Yeah. Help take care of each other.
Yep. So, but yeah, maybe let's take a group photo, like the first meeting, and then we'll probably take many more. And then by the time we're done with the event, we'll have probably, as always, I have like 2,000 pictures on my folder and stuff. Yeah, on my computer.
All right.
No more questions? Okay. So then,
Where's the pizza?
So we do this personal stuff.